students being able to talk about their learning in the context of a story rather than a report or a test. So if that's the case, then why is it important for kids to be able to develop fluency in designing and constructing media texts?
Well, I mean, as far as students producing information, I think students are definitely aware that they have a lot more options than what schools have provided for them. Again, I'm not sure here in South Australia, it's my first day here, but I noticed in New South Wales and Victoria is very similar to the United States, where if we take a look at English curriculum, which to me it's fascinating because English, in my opinion, should be changed to communication. I mean, I think that if we're going to have, because just because you speak English doesn't mean you can communicate well. I know a lot of really well-spoken English people who don't know how to communicate very well. So it's a little bit bigger than just your ability to have a command of a language. But what's interesting is that since the 60s, the only time that English has really been changed was to add speaking as a component to reading, writing, and then reading and writing, and then speaking. So this is what is perceived to be your options on how to communicate, because technology is a separate area. And then like speech would be a separate area, but this core area study called English still sees the reading and writing, and then speaking as the only way to communicate.
Yep.
So if you're a student, you recognize that you're interfacing in the world that is very musical, that's very visual, that's it's very kinesthetic. There are a variety of ways that school just traditionally has never been equipped to provide students an opportunity to deliver learning in that way. We always talk about what type of learner are you based on how you receive information. How am I a visual learner? Am I a kinesthetic learner? Am I an auditory learner? But what kind of a producer are you? You may be an auditory learner but a kinesthetic producer. You may be a kinesthetic learner but a visual producer. And I think that's a question that is fascinating for me because I think kids are more aware of that. And a lot of times they have to figure that out themselves because it's outside of those parameters that schools allow them. And you know that that's happening because whenever you see content that a lot of times teachers create online, it tends to be very text-based, very narrative-based, what I call very one point of entry. Here's the beginning, here's the middle, here's the end. In order for you to understand this concept, you must go through the beginning, the middle, and the end. Whereas students will find ways on how they can do the whole thing with stick figures, like in YouTube, and will explain complicated concepts in a non-traditional way, as you were saying. They recognize the fact that if you want to know it, I can understand why the teacher feels you've got to create it in this linear format. Whereas the students are saying, if you want to learn it, you must take more of a story strategy approach to it, where you can have emotion, feelings, connections, interactions, conflict, all of those components that are critical. And you know that having that sense of narrative, students, I think, are discovering, because I think they're a lot more involved with that concept than even a lot of teachers. They may not be metacognitive about the fact that they're interacting more with a narrative-based approach on how information is delivered to them. Because, again, for teachers in the education context, things are delivered, not things are story told. And I think that that's something that students definitely are finding out. And if teachers could really embrace the fact that you have a variety of other ways of just reading, writing, reading and writing and speaking, I think that it will open up a tremendous amount of opportunities for the demonstration of knowledge.